Climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hey Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
As we head towards colder weather, it's important to make sure you're up to date on vaccinations and protected from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People aged 12 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Clear tonight with a low of 23, then sunny on Tuesday with a high of 40. Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Courtney Cup, hit me cut again, man.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
All right. Hey, we got Dr. Stately and Wendy on tonight, and let's go with Ogimaa with the news that you don't hear anywhere else.
Hey, are you hearing me all right, Robert?
Yep.
Awesome. So I just want to let our listeners know we're having just a little bit of a hiccup with Facebook tonight. So if you usually catch us on air on Facebook and you're not seeing us tonight, just know that we're also broadcasting live on our YouTube and on our Twitter page. So you can always check us out there. Plus, we're on iTunes and Spotify and all of those other great places. Want to also give a little shout out today for Native Roots Radio on Patreon. We are on Patreon. And we do count on the support of listeners like you. So if you can support anything at all and really enjoy what Native Roots Radio brings to your life, head on over to patreon.com/Native Roots Radio Network. It appears, and I don't want to speak too soon, it appears we're live up on Facebook again right now on Native Roots Radio, on Robert Pilot's Facebook page, and Oh, and I spoke too soon. It's down again. So I'll work on that as we go through our show. But for now, without further ado, I wanted to touch base on some news that's happening around here in Minnesota. Some local news that I just got wind of today is that the Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, and the All My Relations Art are offering a free concert on October 21st. Very exciting. It's with the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. And the concert's going to start at 7 p.m. with a pre-concert recital. And then the concert itself starts at 8 p.m. There's going to be really a wonderful lineup of artists. Again, the St. Paul's Chamber Orchestra and Native American Community Development Institute and All My Relations have partnered up. There's going to be a free concert on October 21st. Tickets are available at thespco.org/traditions. And then you just select reserve tickets button and enter the code traditions in the promotional code box before selecting your desired number of seats. They'll also have free busing to and from the Ordway Center for the Performing Arts. If you have any questions, you can contact Angela Two Stars by email at a2stars@nacdi.org. And make sure you reach out to her by Thursday the 20th, which is in just a few days. The bus will be departing from the Little Earth Residents Association. So that is a fun local event that's happening. Another bit of local environmental news that's happening is that the Minnesota Attorney General has pressed charges against the company Enbridge for its breach in an aquifer during the construction of Line 3. The Attorney General Ellison of Minnesota filed criminal charges for the aquifer breach against Enbridge, along with a diversion agreement contingent on Enbridge not breaking the law again and fulfilling all the terms of its settlement. Misdemeanor charge was given to Enbridge for appropriating waters without permit. And it is available under the current Minnesota law. And settlement terms are greater than the state would have won at trial. So that's very, very good news. Misdemeanor charge for hundreds of thousands of possibly millions of gallons of water that were breached in an aquifer near Clearwater, Minnesota in January of 2021. So well over a year ago. It led to an uncontrolled flow of groundwater. It was caused by Enbridge Energy while they were constructing their Line 3 pipeline. And they admit that they delayed notifying the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources about the breach as was required. And Enbridge has now admitted to that being something that they did wrong. So on one hand, it's a win for the environment. However, there's really a small fine. The state and Enbridge have agreed that in exchange for Enbridge's admission for the facts around the aquifer breach, they're paying a fine of $1,000, which is the maximum fine available under the law. And then they agree to remain law-abiding and not further break the law. And then they're also having to be paying about $60,000 to try to attempt to restore the fen in Marshall and Polk counties, where the carnivorous or where the fen was damaged. So, Robert, I don't know how you're feeling about that today.
Sounds typical, right, Wendy?
Very typical. I mean, all these big giant companies, they come in and they promise jobs, they promise cleanup, they promise everything's going to be great. They're watching out for the environment. Nothing's going to happen. They put the pipelines in or any other thing that they worry, they're doing. And then after the fact, when the oil is leaking, they leave it and nobody comes to clean it up. So it's just typical and it's very upsetting.
Yeah. The other half of this story is that Enbridge is actually going to pay a $1.45 million fine to the Fond du Lac Band for failure to follow their environmental laws and permits as part of the joint enforcement resolution with Fond du Lac Band that and the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. So the total $1.4 million includes civil penalties for violations of the Fond du Lac environmental ordinances, for Fond du Lac and DNR to conduct ongoing monitoring, $200,000 in projects to enhance water quality on the reservation, and $1 million in financial assurance for restoration and mitigation of any future damages that may be discovered to on-reservation waters and resources caused by the aquifer breach. And if you didn't know, in Minnesota, the Fond du Lac Band actually had to halt their wild rice this year. They were not allowing anybody to harvest wild rice on the reservation this year because the wild rice did not do well. And that is really important when we're talking about these kinds of cases. So, I would think that the state of Minnesota really needs to have some different laws on the books regarding these types of companies and aquifer breaches. Those laws, that $1,000 maximum fine, is really in place for people like farmers and people of that nature, kind of your average citizen who might breach an aquifer to try to get free water or something that they might not have to attempt to pay for. But we don't really have a lot of laws on the books to hold big mega corporations like this accountable. So I want everybody, if you're listening, to check out nativevote.org. If you're a Native person, they can give you information on a national level of where you can find voter ID requirements, how to register, where the elections are, information about if you're somebody who happens to have a felony sentence, or how to vote while under guardianship. All of those things are available on nativevote.org. And then if you're in Minnesota, actually NPR News compiled this really great site. It's a 2022 voter guide. You can go to nprnews.org/2022-voter-guide. And they actually have an election guide giving you kind of side-by-side information about all the candidates for the major races: Secretary of State, Governor, Attorney General, Auditor, which district you're in. Is going to kind of give you those big candidates and where they stand on certain issues as well, including iron mining, gun safety, reproductive rights, and more. So really great place to check it out if you're not sure who to vote for in your area.
Wow, perfect. Hey, Pinigigi Ogimaa for the news. Up next, Wendy with our sacred animal section. Wendy, do you got a preview here? We got like 20 seconds.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about howling for wolves and what you can do to help our Minnesota wolves. Coming right up after this short break.
Stay with us.
Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The Native American Community Development Institutes Make Voting a Tradition is a culturally specific, year-round, multi-generational approach to increase voter turnout and civic engagement. The fundamental principle of MVAT is that Native Americans are more likely to become politically active when engaged by peers and family. MVAT has created partnerships with local, statewide, and national efforts to increase turnout in BIPOC and other traditionally low turnout groups. Go to NACDI.org, NACDI.org to learn more.
J&S Bean Factory is a Native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on site from the best coffee growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations. I was being a soprano.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, we're switching up the order here a little bit, and we're going to have Wendy talk about our sacred animal section here in the portion of the show, and then up next is Dr. Stately. So without any further ado, I want to introduce my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many years, and she works tirelessly on animal issues all over Turtle Island, and we talk about, for the last 6 years, we've been talking about our sacred animals here on Native Roots Radio. I'm Awake, and if you're looking for us and you're on the radio, we are definitely going live on YouTube and Twitter, but it looks like Facebook is down, and it's kind of thrown my game off. So I'm going to sit back here and listen to Wendy. Welcome, Wendy.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Thanks, everyone. My name is Hanaji Hihani. That means cares for them. I was given that name by my Dega, Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga, which means walks on white clouds. And I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level, and it's always my pleasure to do that. On Friday, I mentioned to save the date. So please save the date. February 7th, 2023, Howling for Wolves is having a wolf day at the Minnesota State Capitol. Non-lethal, keep the pack intact, and that's what it's called. So that's February 7th, 2023. I will be there. I'm excited about it. I don't have a time yet, but as soon as I do, I will let you know. So the other thing I want to talk about is that the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources, has not finalized their wolf management plan yet, but they will soon. So we need everybody to go online. It's a really quick form to fill out, and I hope everybody will just do it. So all you have to do is go on draft wolf plan comments, voter voice. I'm going to repeat that a couple of times so that you could just Google it and it'll bring you right to the form. So it's draft wolf plan comments, voter voice, and you could just go on and fill out this form. So what the form is a draft, a wolf plan by Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. The DNR finished drafting a wolf plan and is in process of finalizing that plan, which will be which once it's done, it's in effect for decades. It's not going to change. So it's really important to protect these wolves now. This plan contains future wolf hunting and trapping for recreation and research purposes. And what this will do, once you put your information in here, it will send this message to Governor Walz and the DNR Commissioner, Sarah Strawman, to remove recreational wolf hunting and trapping and research that kills wolves to save moose from the draft wolf plan. A message is set up for you to send, and you could add like a little personal message, just a sentence or two. You could just say, Minnesota wolves are important to me because I want my children to see them in the future. That's all you have to say. And then you just put, all you have to do is put your information, your name and address, and your email and your zip code. That's all you have to do. And this I want to read the message that's going to be sent to the Governor Walz and to the DNR Commissioner, Sarah Strawman, to remove this proposed plan. These are my wolf plan comments. I am disappointed we are again including a wolf hunt, although the plan seemed to bury it in an appendix. Wolf self-regulate their own populations. They have pack social structures and protect their territory. Allowing wolf hunting and trapping can destroy this social pack, creating unpredictable effects, including increasing predation on livestock. We can be more effective in keeping conflicts down by promoting smart, science-based, non-lethal prevention methods. Wolf hunting is not that. Scientific research shows that killing wolves does little long-term to prevent additional conflicts between livestock and wolves, which are already rare. Minnesota can and should demonstrate that we can coexist with wolves with no state-sanctioned wolf killing. Then, when wolves lose federal protections, we will have shown wolf killing is unnecessary and harmful. Legal wolf killing has been shown to increase illegal killing. There have been multiple studies showing this. The wolf will always be in danger and needing federal protections if we do not make the paradigm shift to an all non-lethal wolf plan. The Minnesota Wolf Plan should prioritize wolf stewardship and allow wolves to fill their ecological role, resulting in self-sustaining, self-regulating populations. And killing wolves for research in a feeble attempt to save moose is primitive and unethical and needs to be removed from the plan. This is the message that you'll be sending out. So I just want to remind everybody about a wolf pack. It is only the alpha male and alpha female that mate in the pack. None of the other wolves are allowed to mate and have puppies. So when there is a wolf hunt, the hunters don't know, oh, that's the alpha female and the alpha male. We're not going to kill those wolves. We're just going to go off and kill the rest of the pack. There is no determination who is who. So wolves just get killed. So without the alpha male and the alpha female in the pack, if they both get killed or even one of them get killed, other wolves in the pack will just mate indiscriminately and then therefore bring about more wolf pups. So it really seems to me that if people can really just understand that, it really makes sense not to kill the wolves, because then there'll be more wolves by killing the wolves. I have a really interesting story about can killing wolves make things worse? And it's a story about an Alaskan pack of wolves. And what they did was they were hunting Dall sheep, D-A-L-L sheep. And these Dall sheep climb on these mountains. So what happened is the wolves would go after these Dall sheep, and the sheep were really great. They would just climb up these mountains and get away. The wolves learned how to go up the mountain and get them from behind, while the other wolf packs, the wolf in the wolf pack, came up from the bottom, and they strategically hunted to kill these Dall wolf in a strategic way. What happened was there was a wolf hunt that killed all the wolves. Again, the hunters don't know who they're killing. They just, randomly kill a bunch of wolves. But what happened was they ended up killing these adult wolves that understood how to hunt these specific Dall sheep. So what happened is the adult males all died, and now these young pups, these young wolves, had no idea how to hunt these sheep, because they were never taught, and their mothers and fathers and the adults were all dead now. So what happened was the pups, to survive the winter, were just hunting like rabbits and to sustain themselves. And then they would go to the ranches. So they would go to the cattle ranch and they would kill off the small cattle, the calves that were available to them, because they didn't have the the knowledge to be able to hunt for these sheep. So that's exactly what happens when these wolves are killed, because they're not learning. And that, Robert, we talk about this too with our ancestors, with the Native American people. When we lose our elders, the language is lost, recipes, stories, like you could go on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
What's lost when we lose our elders? So when the elder wolves are shot and killed, the young pups, they can't learn what they need to know to survive and to really strategically hunt these big game. So then they go off and they kill other animals, such as calves and things like that. So again, hunting these animals are just making things worse. You kill the wolves, kill more wolves, especially the alpha male and female, than all the rest of the pack. The wolves in the pack are going to mate and make more wolves. So it's really too much. So anyway, everybody, please go on Draft Wolf Plan comments, voter voice, and it's really quick. It'll take you literally less than 2 minutes to send off this important message to Governor Walz and the DNR, and we really need to get this plan in place for the wolves and save them for future generations.
Wow, well done, Wendy. Very well done. Thank you so much. As we always talk about, our lieutenant governor is from the Wolf Clan.
That's right. She is, and she said when a wolf is killed, it feels like a family member.
Exactly, and that's how we feel, and that's how we feel with their relatives too, like our little dogs here. It's very, it's all encompassing circle. So again, Peony Gigi up next. We have Dr. Stately of Native American Community Clinic. You're with Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Stay with us.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
The Native American Community Development Institute's Make Voting a Tradition is a culturally specific, year-round, multi-generational approach to increase voter turnout and civic engagement. The fundamental principle of MVAT is that Native Americans are more likely to become politically active when engaged by peers and family. MVAT has created partnerships with local, statewide, and national efforts to increase turnout in BIPOC and other traditionally low turnout groups. Go to NACDI.org, NACDI.org to learn more.
Hello, it's Randy Rhodes, Team Randy. Glad to be a part of the lineup of Progressive Voices on AM 950. Tune in, join us weeknights at 10.
If you're like most people, you probably noticed your energy bills are going up and going up fast. Unfortunately, that's not likely to change anytime soon. So if high utility bills have you seeing red, see green instead by locking in an energy rate with All Energy Solar. Switching to All Energy Solar gives you peace of mind knowing your energy costs won't be rising along with fossil fuel costs. Solar panels last 25 to 30 years, giving you a good idea of where your energy is coming from for decades to come. Plus, a system from All Energy Solar could save you even more with net metering. With net metering, extra energy generated by your solar panels is sent back into the energy grid in exchange for credit on your electric bill. Those credits pay for your energy use on days when solar production is low or your electricity use is high. So declare your independence from the fossil fuel industry by switching to All Energy Solar. Get a free, no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
You can't go through a day without hearing about healthcare reform. St. Paul Corner Drug is here to help you navigate the ever-changing healthcare landscape. We are your advocate in getting much-needed prescription medication covered under your insurance plan. Need to choose a different plan? There is no reason to feel like you are drowning in the system. St. Paul Corner Drug can make simple work out of finding you a plan that best suits your needs. You can rest assured at St. Paul Corner Drug, pharmacy the way it should be.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lulia. Clear tonight with a low of 23, then sunny on Tuesday with a high of 40. Cafe Latte is unlike any restaurant you've ever experienced. Grab a tray and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts. Cafe Latte, Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul, or cafelatte.com.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the the Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition. I'm sorry. Let me do that over again. This portion of the show is brought to you by the Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault
Coalition.
I
Sorry.
thought you were going to say this portion's brought to you by the Native American Community Clinic, who
I didn't get that
memo.
No, but thank you.
Hey, we're a little off here on Native Roots Radio today.
Only
I was
once a week.
Mess Monday on Native Roots Radio because we just got confirmation.
Assault Coalition.
Yeah, very crazy. Wow. So, hey, we're going to have Dr. Stately on soon here, Wendy. We got 22 days left till election, and I know you're going to vote early, and we're going to vote early. We're going to take off and vote early.
Yes.
Tomorrow is Rock the Vote Native Style, and we're going to have Heather Keeler on, and a couple of other guests, Alan Roy too, tomorrow, and I think there's another person. And so we're excited to rock the vote and make sure that everything is going on in a good way.
Yeah, that's right. I was out walking the dog today, Wanda. The other dog is a little bit cold all the time, so I didn't bring her. But Wanda's pretty hardy, so we went out for a walk. But I see a lot of people with their leaf blowers and like cleaning up all the leaves and getting everything nice and tidy. But I just want to remind people it's okay to be lazy. It's really okay to be lazy and just leave those leaves. There's lots of little bugs and little things that stay there underneath all the leaves for the winter, and they kind of like hibernate and stay down there. And then it's the first food for the birds in the springtime. So I would just remind everybody to just get back in the house and
have those crickets,
relax and work on a different project and leave those leaves alone.
I don't know if Ogimaa was applauding with her happy fingers, or she has something to say. Oh, yeah.
Oh no applause on Hot Mess Monday here on Native Roots Radio. Facebook is officially down, people, but I wanted to just kind of touch on what Wendy was saying. Like, we have no mow May. You leave your grass long and let all those pollinators come up to help our bees. It's important for our pollinators to leave your leaves where they lie. They will decompose. They're not going to totally kill your lawn. If you rake them into a big pile, they'll make a big dead spot on your lawn. But if you let them leave them where they lie, they're going to be good food for our animal friends. So welcome, Dr. Stately.
It's crazy that we had a great yard And then now the last 10 years, we don't care. Hey, there's Dr. Stately of Native American Community Clinic. Hey, would that hoodie fit me? I like that.
Probably not. Okay.
So we're having a Meltdown Monday here. So welcome.
Nice.
So why don't you? Hopefully, you can come add to our
hot mess.
Hot mess Monday. That
are you really having a hot mess?
No, Wendy had a great segment. Facebook is down now, so it was weird sending out to everybody.
But we are on the radio.
You are. I'm gonna go on off camera since you're technically not on the radio then. Or on Facebook rather.
We are definitely on the radio.
We're on the radio.
So I have to behave myself. Is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, we're always on Dr. Stately, all over Civic Media Network.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm under the watchful eye of the FCC, so I gotta be careful.
Yeah, you're always.
I'm sorry. I'm just actually it's been a little bit of a chaotic day. I just chased my kids. Out of the living room, out of the dining room. You can see them. They abandoned their computer over there.
Wow, working hard on schoolwork. That's good.
No, they're actually supposed to be in their driver's ed class, which is actually even worse when you think about it. Technically, they're supposed to be in driver's ed and they're not in class. So.
Well, when they take, I've been telling students for 30 years, and my driver's ed instructor in the 1975 or 76 told us this, and I've handed this down to other students, and they've come back and thanked me. If they take the computer test here in Minnesota, and you don't know what the answer is, always pick the longest answer, and that's usually, I think it's something like 70 or 80% of the time accurate. So let them know that. And hopefully now, I mean, that's to say, Minnesota hasn't changed their test in 40 years, 50 years.
I was going to say, did they even have computers back when you took the test?
No.
Well, yeah, there was a little screen, where you'd hit the button,
I thought you would have had one of those. I would have thought you would have had one of those things where you push the little pin in the button and you pop the paper thing out.
Those are called chads, and that's how Florida. This whole mess in Florida started with Chad, hanging
right?
Chad.
Exactly. Hanging Chad. Yeah. Hanging him sounds like a really good idea, actually, after that election, but anyway. Yeah. So that's why I'm late, and I got tied up at work with other things, being ahead of a clinic. That was a lot of so I drove like a madman to get home so that I could feed my kids, which I actually haven't done yet, and also be here with you. So
well, we really appreciate it.
We hear some echoing or something else in the background there, Dr. Stately.
That's actually the person, the driver's ed teacher, talking. Since they're not here, I'm just going to turn it down. Just mute them. They don't need it. Yeah.
Either that or we need to take the test. And yes, there was these computer screens, Wendy. I mean, you weren't here in Minnesota.
Okay.
There were no push button. It was a screen. You could see the TV, and it was like a slide of it wasn't like a computer, but it was a screen.
I had a number 2 pencil and I had to scratch the answer.
The Chad.
Yeah.
Scratch the answer. There you go.
Screen. It was a number 2 pencil and a piece of paper with questions, little boxes.
We're gonna because New York didn't even have pictures on their license for many years. So Minnesota,
I think that we're also my expertise is mental health. So I think we're traumatizing Ogimaa because she has no clue what we're talking about. The three of us are we're talking we took our test right after stone tablets and chisels. So she doesn't even know what the hell we're talking about. Oh, sorry.
I did attend a small Catholic school in central Minnesota in the early 90s. And well,
then you know all about Number
some
two pencils.
number two pencils, erasing
Yes.
everything. It was a lot, but honestly, I think I'd prefer it to a computer screen any day because then you had to be solid about your answer. You had to really
Yeah.
fill that circle and know.
I have to tell you that I went to boarding school. I think I talked about this in a previous show. So I also had number two pencils, and the nuns would stand behind you with their rulers at the ready, like if you didn't, do your cursive properly or a few other things. So I had like amazing cursive when I left boarding school. I just like the handwriting of royalty, like just
Yeah.
like my W's had extra wings on them, curly Q's on them. I was like, kind of like that girl in Clueless. Remember, she had like spray little cologne on her little paper, and then she'd write really flourished writing. That was me back in the 1960s, way before it was cool.
Wow.
And now I have the handwriting of a serial killer. So you actually can find a way to undo all of that traumatic experiences of being like in Catholic boarding school or Catholic school and like having to write really neatly. It's possible, actually.
I used to practice my signature because I thought I was going to be a professional baseball player.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and then I started drinking heavily, and then now I'm sober and I'm a nobody.
Well, but you got a great signature, I'm sure.
It's kind of chicken scratch now, as you said. Yeah. Well, wow, this is really this is just par for the course on the show, Dr. Stately. This is stunning conversation we're having with Dr. Stately. Who's
it's probably not the conversation they all intended to dial in for, but so I kind of feel like I'm compelled to say something health related because this is kind of like what we talked about. But I had to take my niece to the ER yesterday out here in Shakopee to St. Francis because she was not feeling well, and we walked in the ER, and I swear to God, it was like packed. Sunday at 3:00, it was like there was no chairs to sit on. There were no cars to park in that ER parking lot. There was like everybody and their grandmother was in that ER. And when we checked in, they're like, it's an hour and a half wait to just be triaged. And I was like, good Lord, let's go back outside and call an ambulance, come through the ambulance bay.
Wow.
That didn't work either. So,
well, there was a lot.
Is she okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's struggling with some health related issues that are just really challenging for her and hard to sort of nail down. But I was shocked it's been a long time since like the beginning of the pandemic, really, quite frankly, since I saw a waiting room look like that.
Wow.
Well, all over Wisconsin here now with Native Roots Radio on Civic Media Network. So there might be a lot of Packer fans in Shakopee. I don't know.
Oh wow! Were they all going to the ER because they lost their football game and they were upset?
That's what I'm asking. That's what I'm wondering.
Having breakdowns.
Possibly.
You can put my phone number in the chat on the screen, and I'll take private sessions for all the people having mental breakdowns, and they can just cash at me. I'm joking.
With the Packers, with the Packers.
I don't know if I can really help Packers. They seem a little bit beyond help. I'm joking.
Okay. Yeah, we're joking. Most of our listeners now are in Wisconsin, so I gotta be.
Actually, I should be really, really clear. I'm an Oneida tribal member, and we're partial owners of the Packers. So I am really, really privileged and honored that they're here.
Yeah. Hey, you're listening to Full of BS here on Monday on Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back after hopefully a long break.
Stay with us. Hey, Ogimaa, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
As we head towards colder weather, it's important to make sure you're up to date on vaccinations and protected from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People aged 12 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Okay, well, hey, we're Wendy has to, because it's a kind of a interesting show today. Wendy, I'm making her come back on Friday and do that segment over. But
the one we just did.
Yeah,
like Freaky Friday kind of thing.
Exactly.
Anyway, I was just noticing that was Knack's ad that was just on right before our break, and I actually did get the bivalent booster a few weeks ago, like I think almost 4 weeks ago, and I didn't even feel the shot. Like I asked the guy, like, did you give me the shot? And he's like, yeah, I gave you the shot. I was like, I didn't feel anything. And he goes, and he made some off-color comment about how muscular I am. Right, exactly. And then I had to wait 4 weeks to get the monkeypox vaccine.
Oh.
And I'm so glad that I did, because I was gonna do the monkeypox thing, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to wait to get the bivalent. So I read that somewhere, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna flip that so that I can get the COVID, because I was trying to do a risk calculation in my own head too, like, well, how much risk do I have? Like, I have kids, and then I was like, my biggest risk right now for myself personally, I think, in terms of these two things that are going on, and these infections that are spreading in certain communities, probably more likely for me to be, or more important for me to be protected for the COVID, the bivalent with the newer strains, because my kids are back in school, and I live in a deeply purple county where nobody really wears masks except I don't know, the 5 Democrats that live out here. I'm just kidding. But I was like, well, I probably should do that. And then I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, well, and then I heard I could get the monkeypox virus vaccine 2 weeks after I got the bivalent. So I didn't want to wait the 4 weeks to get the COVID booster after the monkeypox.
That was a good
So
decision.
that's how, yeah, it was a good decision because I was like, I'm trying to like do the risk calculus in my head. But it reminded me of like the early parts of the pandemic where like we were trying to figure out like, okay, when should I try to get it? How should I time this? And do I do it like in, so I just kind of wanted to say that because I wanted, so for people who might be listening, it's like, if if you're at risk for either COVID or potentially possibly monkeypox, like monkeypox gets spread in a very specific way. Like 95% of the cases are being spread among people who have intimate sexual contact. And while that's not the only way, it's primarily the way. But they're seeing it starting to break out in like places like homeless shelters, places where you're going to be sharing clothing and sharing bedding and a few other things, and those very rare cases. But it's kind of like you have to do that risk calculus in your head. It's like think through like what the potential for your personal exposure is, or for anybody in your family, based on how long you would have to wait for that for the other vaccine if you take the monkeypox first versus flipping it around. And then one of the things I really wanted to say is important is like you can actually take the COVID bivalent vaccine and your flu vaccine at the same exact time if you want to. You don't have to do what Robert did and break them up.
No, I'm gonna I'm gonna get both of them again because I think I got the last time I got the booster and shingles, and I was like a little tie, but I thought I was just getting older, but I guess the shots made me a little tired. But I'm a napper anyways.
Yeah, that's what retirement's all about, napping.
Is it, Wendy?
Well, since you mentioned the shingles vaccine, Dr. Stately, I know a lot of people to me, they'll say like, oh, shingles, it's just, it's just a rash or you get some blisters on your skin. But can you explain to people why it's so important to get the shingles?
Well, the shingles vaccine is really important to get because it is actually really painful if you do get it. Like I actually got my shingles vaccine, I think probably about 5 years ago, maybe. And I think I talked about this on your radio show before. I happen to have HIV. I've been living with HIV for about 30 years now. And so, and I'm old enough that I don't know. And there's no living person that remembers if I actually got the chickenpox vaccine or not. Or I was looking for like evidence of like the polio vaccine because people were saying like, well, if you have the polio vaccine, you might not need the monkeypox vaccine because they're basically made out of the same sort of like it's kind of in the same. So I was looking all over my body for like a scar. They said like you get this general scar. Most people have it. I was like, I'm so old. I don't have any records of me ever being like vaccinated for polio or for chickenpox. So my sister my sister and my partner's aunt both got shingles recently within the last couple of years. My sister got it on her face. It was so painful. She was in so much pain, just like she couldn't sleep. It was so much pain. My partner's aunt got it on an organ inside her body, right? And they misdiagnosed it. They thought it was female stuff, so she had to go through all those things. And so part of it is like, shingles can show up in any part of your body and like, inside on your organ, you're going to have a lot of pain. So I would just tell people like, I went out and got that thing as soon as like I was like, I'm not taking the chance I'm going to get that. So I'm really, really grateful I did because, I'm in a clinic environment. I'm around a lot of people who have a lot of things. And believe it or not, people don't always wash their hands and clinics or in hospitals even, so you got to like really practice like good hygiene, do everything you can to take, precautions, like get the vaccines that are available to you that you're most likely to sort of kind of get an illness for. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, well, I never take the flu vaccine, or I never do that vaccine. I'm never going to be exposed to that. It's like, we live in a world now that like we live in a global world now where like people are traveling from all over the four corners of the planet, and they're intersecting with your daily life every single day, and then you don't even realize it, right? Like, not like back when you and I, Robert, went like, just out of caveman days when you really couldn't go anywhere and you saw the same 10 people every day. But it's really different now. And so like the chances and the likelihood that you could possibly be exposed to something that was a virus that was created around the world is much greater than it is like 20, 30, 40 years ago, because we live in a globalized world. And so what I always tell everybody that will listen to me, I'm like, get the vaccine, 20% chance of not getting sick, 30% chance of not getting sick, 40% chance of not getting sick is way better than 0% chance. I'm going to go with anything above 0% every single time, because I don't want to get sick with any serious illness at all. Like, I got too much to live for.
Right on. You do. You really do. And you're an elder, and you have a lot to give too. So we appreciate you coming on. Also, I read in the news that everyone kind of thought this, but mostly Republicans passed away this last year of COVID. So that's a really, really interesting. Thanks, Dr. Stately, for being
That's so
on.
tragic. Really, really tragic.
Yeah, it didn't have to be that way.
No, I don't know.
To take a vaccine, we're taking vaccines. So it just got politicized. Hey, thank you, Ogimaa, for the news. Wendy with the Sacred Animal section, and Dr. Stately. We're still here. We are the seventh generation.
Free Leonard Peltier.
Now.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblatt. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblatt from Shamblatt Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid